It's the wonderful free right now for Liverpool fans. A Premier League title more or less confirmed. Mohamed Salah performing like fine wine and will be staying at the club for another year. Another chance to have and see the Liverpool modern day legend. We then have the trusted assurance at the back. Virgil van Dijk has grabbed the pen from Salah and he's signed the contract too. Free to become four? Not likely right now. The local lad wants to move out. Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's been at the club since he was just 6 years old, seeks out to leave Liverpool. His contract is set to end on June the 30th this year, and it seems Van Dijk hasn't handed him the pen yet. What could be a Liverpool legend, and certainly was one as little as 8 months ago, when fans were calling him that at the start of the season, looks to be a debatable topic right now. Will he still go down as a legend, or simply one who only had his eyes on the exit doors since the start of the season? Is it a bit of out of line for us to give him this criticism, bearing in mind that this lad has been at the club now for 20 years? Let's dissect these thoughts and talk things out with Liverpool fan and aspiring journalist Rhuari. Hello mate, how are you?
I'm good, Rob. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you mate. Thank you for joining me today. Focusing individually on Trent and yourself as a fan. Right now, there must be so much mixed emotions going through your head. I mean, you're gonna win the league, but you also have a player that's been part of so many great memories for the club. I mean, the corner taken quickly one is one that comes to mind. That's so iconic, even for me, and I don't even support the club. That player is set to go, and right now seems to not want to grab the pen off Van Dijk, like I was saying, to sign a new contract. Are things that mixed emotions right now as a fan, and when you come to thinking of Trent Alexander-Arnold right now?
I mean, the thing is, I think the sort of hate, I don't really want to call it hate, but like the sort of the people online talking about Trent in a bad way at the moment, I don't think that's an excellent barometer for how the fans feel as a whole, because as well as I do that social media comments aren't. It's a lot of the case. A lot of the time, it's a case of, the loudest voices being heard rather than just the moderates like actually having their say. So I think that it's very, the sort of hate for Trent is very visible, but I don't think that is the general feeling of most fans. Thing is though, when I say that, if you're from Liverpool, born and bred, been a Liverpool fan your whole life, I can see why this like really does hurt. And it does hurt me as a Liverpool fan, but I never grew up in the city. I lived there for 4 years, and I love Liverpool, and the club is very dear to my heart. But I feel like if you're from the city and you see one of your own deciding to move elsewhere, then that would hurt. But for me, I just think that when I think he's going. I think it's been clear basically since January that that was going to happen. So I've reached acceptance with it. I don't want him to go because he's an amazing player. He's probably the most. I think it's arguable, but I think he's probably one of the most talented English players in like maybe since like Beckham.
Yeah, no, without doubt.
So
Yeah.
so I think any team is going to miss that player leaving. However, it is, I think the blow for me and for a lot of people, fans, has been softened just because we have Conor Bradley waiting to go, and he's looked so good in the limited game time that he's been getting that the sort of Trent leaving it doesn't sting me as much. But like I don't want him to go, but I completely understand it because I myself have I lived in Spain for a little while. The culture is awesome,
Yeah.
and as you say, Trent's been at the club since he was 6 years old. He's been there for basically he's been a Liverpool. He's been representing Liverpool Football Club for longer than he hasn't by some distance.
Yeah, that's kind
And
of all he knows, really. It feels.
he's literally all he knows. So
Yeah.
for me, I think it's perfectly natural for someone to want to expand their horizons, to
Mhm.
learn a new language, to play in a different league, to play in a different culture, to absorb all these new things. And well, I think we've got to remember that the playing career of a professional footballer is a very short one, really.
Yeah.
So like so in that time you want to like squeeze as much juice out of it as you can. And you know, I think that it's only natural for a young ambitious player because I think we all know Trent's got quite a big ego. And to be as good as he is, I think you kind of need that. And I think he's a perfect Real Madrid player. It pains me to say that, but
Mm.
I think he's gonna fit in perfectly there. Like
Similar
he,
attitudes with Bellingham.
but I mean they're busy mates, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so like I feel like they are similar personalities, and I think when he goes there, he is going to succeed. But you know, I don't want him to.
Mm.
I wish Trent the best, but I don't want him to win big titles with Madrid because it's going to sting, especially if it's to the detriment of Liverpool, as it has been in a couple of Champions League finals recently.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, for me personally, I'm like at the acceptance stage of grief over the transfer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Definitely.
so I it's honestly, I could see it coming a mile off, and it doesn't surprise me, but it does still hurt.
Yeah. No. 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 Completely. I mean, you were alluding there. Good to start on a positive light because yeah, he is one hell of a player. I mean, like you say, very talented. There's that kind of how versatile he is. Like Southgate's experimented when he was England manager, whacking him in the midfield.
Mhm.
And he is 26 right now. And I was touching up on that iconic moment in the Champions League, the corner taken
Yep.
quickly in 2019. That happened when he was at 21 years of age, a
Yep.
remarkable young age.
Mhm.
Um, we've now got him, like I say, at 26, and this age is of any age that footballers peak right now. Um,
Yep.
you're supposed to be in kind of your best footballing ability. His
Mhm.
playmaking creations is definitely his best part of his game. The assists he's bring. I mean, we saw how crucial he has been, like since the longevity part of that senior involvement in the Liverpool team. 32 games he played in that 21-22 season when he was as young as 21. Oh no, sorry, 21-22. Another season getting away from the Champions League where he's still crucial. 32 games played with 12 assists. Now we look at this season, and it's 29 games he's played, so 3 games less. And I'm just talking here on just the league, but 29 games, and he's just got 6 assists. Should, in your opinion, Trent be performing better right now, or not even right now, but this whole part of this season? Even last season, there was a dip there as well in just the assists alone. Or is he still as good as he is?
I mean, like looking at the numbers, and he's not hit the heights that he has done previously. That's clear to see. But I think those seasons where him and Robertson were setting records for assists from defenders, and I think that those couple seasons are kind of outliers. Like they're freakish seasons
Hmm.
for any player to have. So I think using that as like the benchmark it doesn't really make a lot of sense because no other fullbacks in the history of the Premier League have put up numbers like that. And so I think since those seasons, both of their numbers have started to come down. And I think this season it's interesting because obviously we've got the new manager, and I wonder if his like ideal version of a right back is more a Conor Bradley than it is a Trent. So I wonder if tactically that may have left Trent like looking like he's lacking something a bit in this system. I mean, Robertson's had a really tough year as well, and
Hmm.
so I that could be put down to just him having a lot of miles on the clock and him
Yeah.
coming towards the end of his career. But I think
He's getting to that kind of. Is he 32 now, isn't he, Robinson?
he's 31 or 32. It's one or the
Yeah,
other. But
in them 30 marks. Yeah,
so yeah, and if you watch Robertson play as over his Liverpool years, he's got some engine. He does not stop running,
yeah, yeah.
and so it's understandable that he would start to tail off at this kind of time. But I just think systematically, I don't think that there's as much importance for our fullbacks to provide or create in the same way that they were under Klopp. Maybe that's just me sort of trying to reason backwards almost from the fact that their numbers in terms of assists have been lower. But I think that tactically, like Slot's not changed a lot
No, no.
of what Klopp's done, but you don't see as often the sort of sweeping like cross-field passes that Trent and Robertson used to do all the time.
Yeah,
But because I think Slot in general wants more control of the game,
yeah,
and so those long sweeping passes from wing to wing, when they are pulled off and they work, it is effective. But it's also quite a high risk play
yeah.
because if you're sweeping the ball across the field and you're basically having to play that ball over like three or four opposition players, that means there's three or four like opportunities to lose that ball.
Yeah.
And so I think for Slot, he wants more control of the game. Um, like he's not like a possession like pervert like Pep Guardiola.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think he's slightly more adaptable to that than that. Like he can adapt his game to other
Yeah.
to different opposition.
Because
But I think
them
in
sweeping crops, sorry, real quickly, them sweeping
yeah,
crosses. I think that was something that I mean, I might be completely wrong here, but I think that's how you conceded to Arsenal. Was it last season when
I think you are
Martinelli
correct.
came straight up and
Yeah.
it does kind of invite the pressure on teams to counter attack, doesn't it? You are right.
It does. It does. If an opposition player can latch onto one of those passes, then you basically have a free run at like
Yeah.
the two remaining Liverpool players being the centre backs. So as I say, it is a high risk, high reward play, and I'm wondering whether it's the other teams have kind of figured that out a bit from Liverpool,
Potentially so. Yeah.
or whether it is just Slot saying I don't really rate that kind of play because the percentages aren't they don't work for me. Like he is Slot, in my opinion, is actually a more pragmatic manager than Klopp. Like he's not like Klopp has it was heavy metal football was like the title of it when he come in. And it wasn't always like that, but it was intense under Klopp.
Yeah.
Liverpool aren't that intense now.
Yeah.
And so I think that they're more measured, they're more calm on the ball. They're like, as I say, I think they are more about playing the right pass at the right time. It's more percentage
Yeah.
plays rather than trying to get forward as quick as possible under Klopp.
It's them
So
timing of the passes, isn't it? Because I mean, this is probably a credit and compliment to Salah himself. But the one time a lot this season actually, that Trent has like really delivered them long passes is down to his right hand talisman Salah.
Yep.
On the right hand
Yep.
side, like if he sees the darting run, not even if he sees the darting run, he knows there'll be a darting run because he knows that Salah can deliver. That is, I mean, I'm listening to the quality of Salah's right there, but of course it all starts with a good Trent Alexander-Arnold pass.
it does, but I think that basically Salah doesn't defend now, and he shouldn't really have to. Like his role in the
Stay
team
high.
is to stay high, and he's become like more and more of a creative force. Like some of his assists this season have been like unbelievable. Some of the passing is like De Bruyne-esque.
Oh,
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that if you're saying to Salah, right, you stay high, you create, you be the spark of our team. I think in order for that to really, really work, your right back has to get through a lot of defensive work. And we all know that Trent. Here's the thing. I think Trent can defend. I just think he doesn't want to. Do you see what I'm saying?
yeah.
And
Yeah,
a lot of people say that he's a terrible defender. When there are moments and glimmers in a game in games where he puts in really good defensive work, but it seems like it's less of a priority to him
yeah,
because he's first and foremost a creative player.
yeah.
And he's almost like a quarterback almost. Do you know what I mean? Like just like sort of finding a pocket and finding the right pass. Whereas Bradley,
Bradley
if
can.
you've got
Yeah, he can. Bradley.
Bradley is an incredible defender. I mean, he really put a mark down when he absolutely wiped out Mbappe in that Real
Oh,
Madrid
mate,
game.
what?
That
Yeah,
was that
yeah,
was unbelievable.
yeah.
And I've never seen Trent make a tackle like that.
Yeah. No,
So
I do think it's that kind of. I mean, if you're gonna be a goalie, you got to dive, and if you're
mhm.
gonna be a defender, you do sometimes have to make them kind of very like slide tackles moves, but make it clean. Obviously, God,
Yep.
like you got to make it clean, and I don't think Trent has that kind of urging him to do that sometimes. Well, you do see it from Bradley, and you do see it on the other side with Robbo, don't you?
Yep, you do. I mean, Robbo, like, I can think of so many moments where Robbo has like just either saved the team in a defensive instance or just shown like such willingness to close down the opposition. I mean, a famous early example is that run he goes on against Man City, where he basically presses the entire City back line
Yeah,
back to the goalkeeper, and Trent has never showed that kind of defensive aptitude or willingness to press or get on the opposition like that. But he's just not that kind of player.
no,
So
yeah.
he started like coming out of the academy. He started as a midfielder, and then I think he actually in some of his earlier games in the senior side, he was even playing on the right wing.
Oh wow,
So
yeah.
so I remember we had like him in some cup game and him and Ben Woodburn on the
Yeah.
left wing, and it didn't look like it worked, but it just showed that they thought that this was kind of an attacking player, a creative player rather than a defender, but he's been repurposed as a right back,
Yeah.
kind of similar to when Beckham went to Real Madrid. That midfield was so stacked, and he basically played at right back for a lot of games at Real Madrid, and was making those like long passes into the box and creating some amazing
Yeah.
assists. So I
It's a
think
compliment to your defence when you're able to do that too. I mean, Southampton would have
absolutely
never been able to have done that this season.
no.
And Walker Peters is another good player. That's another topic. But it's again, it's another compliment to the team itself. A compliment to Van Dijk. A compliment to whoever he's joined alongside, Gomez. Whoever it is.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean these rumours with him linking up with Real Madrid, they continue to make a step closer. They certainly did March this year. A lot of mainstream media sites confirming and claiming that the contract is getting closer and it's into the final stages.
Yeah,
I think he has had a good legacy.
yeah.
To create here and one that could block out what seems to be a trend right now for many English players joining leagues overseas is him going no and continuing with that club Liverpool. But then again, I think it's somewhat that trend is down to how difficult this league can be itself. A lot of English players struggle to establish themselves in this league, like managers. And then there's also this kind of effect that PSR has to the modern day. That's a whole other story for another time. But does Trent gain that legendary status like Gerrard? I mean, if he does stay at the club as far to the point that he starts to decline in his ability, as far much as that, which pretty much shows that he's given his whole playing ability to Liverpool 100%. I mean, we all kind of saw Milner and Lallana jump ship when the time was right. The time was that they weren't good enough. Does Trent gain that legendary status like Gerrard?
Well, I mean, I think the Milner and Lallana thing that they were more like ushered out the door as opposed to jumping ship.
Jumping ship, yeah.
But in terms of like Gerrard is not a good barometer because in terms of Liverpool Football Club, there's Gerrard, there's Dalglish, and possibly Salah.
That's debatable, isn't it? Yeah.
From recent times, it's debatable, but I think by the time his Liverpool career is over, I think it's going to be like a fact that he's one of the top three players and legends in Liverpool history. You just got to look at his numbers, look at the stuff he's won,
and he's already a step closer with the new contract too.
He is already a step closer, but so I think comparing Trent to Gerrard is a little unfair. If he did stay, and he becomes the captain and he becomes a driving force of the team, then yeah, he could be comparable. But I think trying to match up to the legend of Gerrard is just it's
big shoes.
It's huge shoes. Like you really can't, like, Gerrard is such a legend, as you say, because he stayed when the team was declining, and he was the driving force of the team for like 10 years really. I just don't, from the right back position also, it's probably not very, it's not likely that you can be that force for the team. Like Trent can be a creative force, and we've seen that he's incredibly talented and completely very able to create opportunities for the team and create assists, but he's not in that position to affect the game like Steven Gerrard was. So I think he's never going to be, he would never be on the Gerrard level, but he would be if he did stay and he saw out the good years of his playing career at Liverpool. Then he would be like a top 10 Liverpool legend. He would be.
Yeah.
But it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, no. It definitely. I mean, it's getting to that point now where we'll talk about it at the end of the video, but it's kind of getting a bit silly as such. I mean, something we don't really see much anymore, and I won't divulge in this either because there's a lot I kind of want to get through, but we don't kind of see them typical Gerrards and Lampards anymore. You know, like how much time you give to a club. You perhaps do see it in shorter terms. I mean, like one comes to my mind of not being there his whole career or predominantly 90% of his career, but for a big part of it, and a part where they've not been performing well, is Bruno Fernandes at Man United. That's a whole nother different topic. But like it's funny, isn't it, that we don't see that as such anymore. I mean, it's also another angle in this whole kind of Real Madrid saga as such. I mean, it's something we don't speak about enough, but this subject of player welfare. I mean, he's been there as long as he can think, practically. I mean, like it feels like that way anyway. Should he be able to do this move? I mean, it's crucial now as he is a 26-year-old and you know, like maybe the numbers don't show it, but he is at his peak. You know, has the club's should he have the club's legacy at his best interest though? Even if Klopp isn't there anymore. Or is it crucial that he, you know, he does what he wants as such from a player welfare point of view?
I think he's got to make the best decision for him. I think.
It's what it's down to, isn't it? Realistically, seeing it from a sensible head, as such.
Yeah. I mean, I am, because as I say, if you'd asked me about the Trent stuff back in January, I'd be a lot angry about it. I'd be much more annoyed about it, but ultimately, I've kind of reached acceptance with it.
It's because you got that Premier League title over the line now.
That is a nice cushion.
Yeah.
That does soften the blow a little bit, but yeah, I mean, like the guy, as I said, the life of a pro football player is a short one, so like I think it's in his best interest to as I say, like just squeeze as much juice from that fruit as possible, and going to Real Madrid, they are undoubtedly the biggest team in the world, right?
Yeah.
They're the biggest team in the world. It's in Madrid, an amazing city. Spain in general, it's a beautiful country, great weather. beautiful women. I'm sure Trent's interested in that. But I just there's a lot of reasons to go, and honestly, I can't say to Trent that he shouldn't go because
Yeah.
if I were in the same if I were in the same predicament, I'd probably go.
Yeah, I
I'm
think we
being
all do.
honest.
It's kind of one of them where it's either now or never. Similar
Yeah.
to like, I mean, related to so many things in sports, but similar to Almarim with the Man United job. He wants it at the
Hmm.
start of the season, but in
Yep.
November they pretty much said it's now or never.
Yep.
But it's funny, isn't it? Like, and I think I do think not having the club's legacy in the best interest does kind of come into it, and maybe
Yep.
we were speaking about it earlier, but plays a little bit of the role into we get a bit of an insight into Trent's kind of personality as such and
Yep.
attitude. Just another angle on that's something that top journalist Henry Winter said in regards to Van Dijk signing the new contract was he said this: it's a vote of confidence in them and the club's ambitions. The continued presence of one of the world's best centre-backs will encourage other elite players to join Liverpool. Anfield creations are understandable. I mean, he kind of said it's that vote of confidence in them, meaning him as him and the rest of the squad, to continue with the club's ambitions. Is it though, Rory, involved with Trent? I mean, Trent doesn't seem to even bother wanting to sign this new contract right now. I'm kind of gonna ask about it on a club level. I mean, it isn't down to the players. Obviously, it's not. But should the club be trying more to kind of create this kind of attitude and culture there to try and provide the best kind of ambitions for the club?
I think that the club, from what I'm seeing, Liverpool are in for a big summer
Yeah.
in terms of transfers, ins and outs. So, in terms of the ambitions of the club, we kind of changed the infrastructure a little bit last year or the year before, I can't remember, and that would have been getting a new sporting director in and being what's his name? I think it's Mark Hughes. He come from Bournemouth. Who I think it's Mark, or
Okay.
someone.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I know
Yeah.
you, man. I knew
So,
right
so
about.
he's
Yeah.
so he's a new sporting director, and then above him is Michael Edwards, who was the old sporting director. But Michael Edwards is, I think he's kind of, I'm not actually sure what his like position title is, but he's overseeing. He's got a bigger purview of stuff, and I think one of his big things is to try and bring in a second, another club in under FSG because they were looking at Strasbourg, I think, last year, and I think they're still looking for another team.
All right. Yeah.
To almost act as like a feeder club thing. And I'm not, to be honest, I don't really like that, but I think that's just kind of
It's
where
got its
football's
pros and
going.
cons, hasn't it? Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's kind of just where football's going. And if you look at like the Man City model, like they've got clubs everywhere, and it's helping them a lot.
Yeah.
Just
How well
not
Savinho was doing at Girona. I think he was at
exactly.
Girona and just taking them off
Yep.
their hands. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I think that multi-club but in terms of that, I think that shows that FSG and Liverpool as a club, they're trying to be ambitious. They are
Yeah.
trying to strike
I'll go with that.
while the iron's hot, while the iron's hot. But the thing is with Trent, like you could put blame on the ownership group in terms of the Trent situation in that you could see that his contract was running down. Why wasn't this sorted out 2 years ago? You know what I mean? Because before Klopp had made his announcement, I think that Trent probably would have signed a new contract, knowing that Klopp was still going to be there. But I think the changing of manager, the change of the backroom staff, like a lot was up in the air, and that's why him, Salah, and Van Dijk all held off on signing the new contracts.
It's just a weird for me anyway. You've got such great quality, and whether that whoever's in charge of recruiting Salah and Van Dijk to begin with, and the academy to thank for Trent, and whoever's vote of confidence it was to push him to the senior team. It kind of it's happened all in. I still think there's a little bit of luck in there in terms of how everything's played out, as there is with any kind of successful team, as there was with Barcelona's early 2010s team, Man United through the 90s.
Plus a 92.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, who can predict
Yeah.
four class players coming out of your academy at the same time? Do you know what I mean? So,
Exactly, kind of thing, and that as well, with that kind of luck with the recruitment too. And if you've got it, you don't want to lose it. You're not going to lose your multi-million pound winning lottery ticket. And I do think, it's probably for another video, but I do think how the club has handled it, and that maybe there is someone to blame there specifically. That needs to kind of be something that they prevent again in the future, because like you say, if Bradley turns out to be a different defender than Trent, 100% we can see that now. But if he turns out to be that 10 out of 10 defender, then let's not let this happen again.
no, I mean, yeah, it's weird. I think that the aim for the Liverpool hierarchy and for Liverpool Football Club is to be one of those top three teams, one of those top three big clubs in the world, and to make themselves the final destination for a player. Like,
It's key,
so,
isn't it? Yeah,
that's what the aim needs to be, to create an environment, to create an ethos, to create success, prolonged success, and that would mean that Liverpool are spoken of in the same breadth as a Real Madrid. At the moment, they're not quite there, and it's a big jump to make, but that's got to be the aim of the club.
Yeah, no, 100%, and we can tell it's something hard to branch out as that. I think Man City have been trying it for easily over 10 years now, if not 15. To certainly in the last 5 years, to branch out as a club that breaking out in legendary status. I mean, Simon Jordan says it on TalkSports quite a lot, but Man United are a Ferrari, whereas Man City are, you kind of, I don't know, like a Tesla as such. One's been about longer than the other.
One of them's a heritage brand.
Yeah, 100% that. It just finishing off with, with this kind of whole saga of Trent itself. I mean, the rumours are just endless. We hear new things every day. Fans booing at the Leicester game when he was coming on. This is all getting a bit boring and silly now, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm tired of it. I think
to the point that you want him to go.
I don't want him to go, but I want the situation to be over.
Okay.
Yeah. I just want to tie a ribbon on it and know that it's done. But like, here's the thing. I think once there's distance from the situation, that the Liverpool fans who are angry at Trent right now will realise what a special player he's been for us. Like you mentioned it before, that night against Barcelona, he takes that corner taken quickly, Origi. It's like one of the best moments in football of the last decade. Yeah. Like maybe even in sport, because it was just so ridiculous.
It's up there with the Aguero for me.
It's up there. It's up there. And he, like, I will remember that night. I was in Liverpool at the time. I was at university there at John Moores, and we'd lost the first leg 3-0, and because of that, I wasn't really in a big mood for going to the pub, because I thought it's going to be difficult to get back. So I was watching the game on my phone in my dorm room, and the first goal goes in quite early from Origi, and you're thinking, oh, okay, that's good. And then the second half starts, and we get the second goal. And at that point, I'm putting my shoes on, because I'm like, okay, I might have to get down the pub. And so I end up I watched the third goal go in, Gini Wijnaldum, unbelievable. I'm running down to the pub just to my nearest bar, and I'm in the centre of it. It's on a big screen. It's packed. I'm just standing with strangers, and we're watching. And Trent takes that corner quickly. Origi scores, and we were looking around at each other like, we weren't even celebrating at first. Everyone was looking around like, can he do that? Can he do that?
Yeah, the realisation.
And the fact that he did that at what? I think he was 21 years old. to have the
Yeah, yeah, I
presence
think
of
so.
mind
Yeah,
to
yeah, he
keep
was.
to have the presence of mind to catch that Barcelona team napping and win the tie. Essentially, with that moment wins, it wins the tie, and you could argue it wins the Champions League
Mm,
for Liverpool because let's be honest, we were always going to beat Spurs. So,
yeah,
that was kind of our final, and so he plays a huge part in us winning that Champions League,
yeah. It's
and later, go on.
Sorry, mate. I was just gonna say
Yeah.
it like you say it was just something I thought of now. How quick he took that corner, like you say, against Barcelona. He saw them napping, and the boldness to because I mean. The Liverpool players might not have been ready to take it. Obviously, he saw
No.
his target and he take it. I think that's an insight itself to his attitude. As in, and that I'm shining it in a good way, but I'm also shining it in a very bold way. And he's got to the point now where he's it's getting to him being bold enough to want to leave, and
Yep.
and in a weird way, you know, have a good career elsewhere, and I'm saying that just from a neutral view on this, but I mean, it makes sense. He's having that bold move of go on then, I'll join Real with my buddy Jude.
Yep. Yeah.
But
I mean, I'm just thinking about Champions League now, and you know, if Liverpool had not lost two Champions League finals to Real Madrid, then this move wouldn't hurt as much. But because of that, it's like
yeah, I get it
really
completely. Yeah,
it really does sting. But as I
so
say,
annoys.
I just think a couple years down the line, with or maybe even 5 years down the line, with some distance from the situation, I think that the fan base as a whole is gonna realize this was a special player we had. He
Mm.
did special things for this club, and he is a Liverpool legend. Like
Class in
he
it.
is.
Is that yeah.
He's
You think he's
he's a Liverpool legend,
yeah.
and he deserves the respect of a Liverpool legend. Booing your own players in any circumstance, I can never get behind. So that is silly. That's
Mm.
right. That's nonsense. Um,
I would
you
say it's a
know,
bit of a breakup. Like
you know,
you'll get past it.
speaking of a breakup, I was actually thinking about the Trent situation in terms of so you've got a long-term girlfriend, right? But over the past year or so, she's been constantly looking at the neighbor. Do you know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
she's been looking across the street at the fella. Is that going to be a healthy relationship moving forward if you don't just separate?
Yeah,
Know what I
completely.
mean?
It's like your foot's already halfway out the door. Go on, just
Yeah.
go for it then, and
I
I'll forget about you, or try to. I'll remember you. I'll remember you eventually, and in all the right and good ways.
yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean Trent, I love him as a player. I'm sad about the situation, but in the end, you know, I'm over it.
it's right.
It's
It's right.
happening.
It's right. I mean, Liverpool fans and football fans in general, does he go down as a legend? I think that is a debatable one, and I do see completely how he is a legend as such. And
I think it's undebatable that he is a Liverpool legend.
yeah,
Obviously him leaving like it puts a bit of a taint on that, and but for me, just look at what he's won. You
yeah,
know.
yeah. Well, get commenting down below. Join the discussion. In everything as well. Is this his right time to go? And should it be his moment as such? And do support the video as well. Give a like to the video. Subscribe for more to. It's a funny old one with Liverpool fans right now. It's a bit of a mixed reaction, like I say, with a Premier League title confirmed, but no Trent for the next season. It's seemingly likely to be. Rhuari, is there anything that anyone can like watch you on or follow you on?
I don't actually.
No,
Yeah, no, thanks for asking. Obviously, thanks for having me on. It's been
no worries,
great
mate.
to have the chat. And I'm in the process of I'm trying to create a few videos at the moment and then launch a channel so that once I launch, I've got a few bits backlogged.
Well, I tell you what,
But
I could always come back and edit it, so we'll have a link. So, you know, anyone watching this and want to see more of Rhuari, then you know, definitely do. Great guy. We'll put the link in when it's there. But yeah, like I said, mate, thank you very much for coming on. Just to say real quickly, apologies for the technical difficulties with my camera dying in that one today. Massive thanks as well to Rhuari for coming on the channel. If you'd like to see more of him, I will be updating the description for this video, sharing any links of his for you to read any more of his work or watch any more of his work. He's got some content coming out in the pipeline soon. Once again, thank you very much for watching. Please do show your support for the channel. Subscribe, like the video, share your comments down below. Your opinions are as valid as anyone else's. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.